Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the Town Council of Vegreville on December the 15th. This meeting is a special meeting because we're going to be passing our budget. So I call this meeting to order at 5:04. And I'll need a motion to pass the agenda. So Councillor Lemko makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. So today we have Councillor Curtis, who's under the weather, and he is joining us on Confero, and so is Councillor Rudick, who's at home today. Okay, so we're going to start with Director Saskew, Corporate Services Director, and here we go.
Thank you, Worship. The first attachment is the 2026 5-year capital plan, and this is a request for council decision to approve the 5-year capital plan. After presentations made by directors and managers of each department to the town council regarding respective proposed 2026 5-year capital plan requirements, council and administration had held capital budget meetings to discuss and deliberate these proposed projects. The 5-year capital plan includes the 2026 capital budget and capital plans for each of 2027 through 2030. The 5-year capital plan includes 2026 capital budget and capital plans. I'm redoing this. The 2026 capital budget within the 5-year capital plan totals, there's an error here, I apologize, $2,979,500, and it includes the following in this table. Communication, level 1 engagement. The 5-year capital plan will be made available on the town's website, and printed copies will be available by request. Financial implications. The 2026 capital budget is comprised of the following funding components. Capital grants, $2,369,175. Reserves, $435,000. Tax-funded operations, $175,325, for a total capital budget of $2,979,500. Recommendation is that Town Council approve the Town of Vegreville 2026 capital budget in the amount of $2,979,500 and accept the capital plans for 2027 through 2030 in principle as presented in the final budget document, which is attachment 2.
Okay. I'll need a motion to accept the 5-year capital plan. Councillor Jagalik makes the motion. Is there any comments? Go ahead, Councillor.
Just to confirm that Director Saskew will make the change on page 1.
Yes.
Well, if you look at this capital plan, there's not a lot in it. I can tell you that. We, over the last many terms, we have prided in ourselves and taken on a lot of large projects in capital works and bringing our infrastructure that was aging and bringing it back to new. This plan has not very much in it at all. And that just goes to show just where we're at right now with our financing situation that will be explained further in the budget. Luckily, that all of the problems that we've seen with our infrastructure, the main core of our infrastructure has been addressed. We would love to see some more money to put into some paving projects and stuff right now, but that's just not where we're at this year. So again, this is the smallest capital budget I've seen in a long time. So is there any other comments on this 5-year capital budget? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. There we go. Councillor Riddick.
In favor.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to our operating budget.
Okay, thank you, Worship. I have a request for council decision, 2026 3-year operating plan. The proposal is to approve the 2026 3-year operating plan. Planning for the 2026 3-year operating plan commenced in September 2025, accumulating with presentations from managers of each department to council regarding their proposed 3-year operating plan. Council and administration held several meetings to discuss and deliberate the proposed plan and any changes thereto. Municipal staff, together with town council, have dedicated significant time and effort since September in developing the 2026 through 2028 financial operating plan that determines service levels and priorities and initiatives according to the objectives and goals outlined in the 2022 to 2025 strategic plan. That's not a typo, that is our most recent strategic plan right now, and its subsequent sustainability plan. The 2026 three-year operating plan contains the 2026 operating budget and operating financial plans for each of 2027 and 2028. The 2026 three-year operating plan presented is the foundation for the municipality to implement business plans and priorities in 26, 27, and 28. The financial implication. The 2026 three-year operating plan includes an estimated property tax levy of $10,285,686 for the municipal portion of property taxes. Total revenues, including the municipal portion of property taxes and internal transfers, are $21,503,321. And total expenditures are $21,503,321. This results in a completely balanced budget before amortization expense. Amortization expense is not an expenditure and therefore not included in determining the overall property tax levy. However, it is an expense required to be included on the three-year operating plan. Amortization expense for 2026 in the three-year operating plan is $3,237,596 and results in a budgeted deficit, including amortization, of $3,237,596. Communication will be a level 1. The 2026 three-year operating plan will be made available on the town's website, and printed copies will be available at town admin office by request. A formal media release will be prepared for distribution to local media and online posting. Recommendation is that town council approve the Town of Vegreville 2026 operating budget contained in the 2026 three-year operating plan and accept the financial plans for 2027 and 2028 in principle as follows and as presented. So revenues and expenditures netting to a balanced budget of $0, and then amortization expense bringing the deficit to $3,237,596.
Okay, I'll take a motion for the recommendation that we accept this three-year operating plan. Okay, Councillor Broadjack makes the motion. Is there any comments? So before anybody out there that looks at this three-year operating plan and phones us back that we can't run a deficit, this is just the amortization expense, and it's not actually carried through in the budget. So just want to maybe, so we don't get a lot of phone calls and stuff regarding that. So no other questions? All those in favor? One more. There we go. Carried. Thank you. So, if we could just go through some of the main points in this budget to help out anybody that's watching.
Absolutely.
We're having a 2% tax increase.
Yes, so in the second attachment under the capital plan, we have a summary page. It's called Budget Summary on page 5. So it makes note and reference to some key items. So we have noting here the 2026 budget was one of the most challenging budgeting years that we have faced in recent memory. Changes to accounting standards related to asset retirement obligations significantly reduced reserves, while operating costs continue to increase. This year's budget required careful and difficult decisions, all made with the needs and interests of Vegreville's residents as the top priority. The Town of Vegreville's 2026 budget includes a 2% increase in net municipal taxes equating to $201,719. As a reminder, the 2% increase does not correlate to a 2% increase in mill rate or tax bills to citizens. The 2% tax increase is aimed at capturing growth within new developments added to our taxation pool rather than looking at really increasing taxes to the average citizen. Also, to maintain level of service, Vegreville residents, that Vegreville residents expect and deserve amid rising operating costs. The town of Vegreville has implemented a 15% increase to municipal fees and charges. So that was passed in the fees and charges bylaw in the most recent council meeting prior to this. Even with this adjustment, Vegreville's fees remain below the average of similar sized municipalities, reflecting the town's commitment to fiscal responsibility while ensuring residents continue to receive high-level quality services. Also in the operating budget is a 2% cost of living adjustment. The average consumer price index for the 2025 in Alberta is at 1.8%. So our COLA is comparable to the CPI increase and a slightly higher actually. And then the biggest one, and this was one of the biggest goals of council for this budget, is a transfer of $188,288 of surplus to replenish our reserves. So included in this budget is a transfer to reserves of $188,288. So that is replenishing reserves that were depleted through asset retirement obligation, which we had to, an accounting standard we had to adopt in this last year, as well as the impacts of COVID-19. We decreased property taxes for 2 to 3 years and lived out of our reserves. And so now we are working on building those reserves back up so that we have a nest egg in the event that there's a repair or something that comes about that's not budgeted. As we know, that's how life happens, and that's why reserves are there. They're the savings account for rainy days. And then from there, we go into the organizational funding that has been approved. And that is the end of my summary. Is there anything else you would like me to add?
Okay, so if we look at some of the changes, so from last year's tax collection to this year, overall collection, we are $200,000 more, basically,
Yes.
to be spread across all taxpayers. We had a $250,000 increase in policing costs.
In policing alone, as well as a $171,000 increase over prior year budget to record accretion expense for the asset retirement obligation. So those two items alone are a $500,000 increase. So even at a 2% increase, we are still operating $300,000 short compared to prior year, which some of that was corrected with the increase to the fees and charges.
But overall, like I said, I've been here, this is my 13th budget, and this is the tightest I've ever seen. And I want to thank each department in our organization. They went through, and we ended up chopping projects. We ended up taking away some standard funding and operating money out of each department. I want to thank the Vegreville Library Board. When they were shown where we were at right now, they were willing to work with us. I mean, it's just been a lot of work is the way I want to explain to people out there. So are your taxes going to increase? We don't know what the assessment looks like today. Some people that have been assessed very high the last 2 years, and some people whose assessment hasn't changed for 20 years. We don't know exactly how this is all going to play out. But we're very happy that we were able to offer the employees a 2% COLA, which will keep them up with inflation. Actually, inflation in Canada was 2.2, they released today. On groceries, it was actually 4, but overall inflation. And to add only $200,000 to the collection that we have over last year is just incredible. Hopefully, we can apply for some grant funding and start moving things forward. But in the past, we were very lucky to have a significant amount of cash sitting in reserves. But the ARO, the Asset Retirement Obligation, has used those reserves up. We still have the money. It's just an accounting practice that the money is no longer able for us to use in the way it was intended. But I'm sure over the next year or 2 years, we will find a way to solve some of this as we get better at it. We also are seeing growth in our community, which is taxable right now, and over the next couple of years, we're going to see even more growth, and the taxation is going to help. I would say we're about 3 years away, really, to getting back to some major infrastructure projects right now with the way our finances have been tied up due to this accounting practice. But I want to thank everybody on council, and like I said, the managers in every department for the help that it took to get to just another $200,000 that we need to collect. For transparency, there will be another $3 and some cents on the utility bill under infrastructure. So it's gonna cost the average household another close to $40 a year on the utility bill, but we're taking some strides towards that too. So empty property in our community, brown lots, empty residential lots that have not been contributing to debentures. When we debenture the money, we look at every tax roll in our community. And up till now, if you weren't receiving a utility bill, you were not paying on a debenture. You were getting away scot-free. So flood mitigation, brand new sewer systems, all these things that we were borrowing money for, empty lots were not contributing, but they were still adding value to their property. So we will be introducing our new tax subclass to capture some of that. We know that apartment buildings receive one utility bill. So they have a $5 a year sewer charge, one infrastructure charge. That's not right. We need to share that, and we are looking at how that's going to work. We understand the hotels, we're getting one bill, and there is a lot of bathrooms and water and stuff that's being used there. The trailer parks, we're paying a $5 flat fee. So we are looking at how we're going to make it fair for every resident in this town when it comes to funding and paying off these debentures. And we should be able to bring that forward sometime in the first of the year, I would hope so, Director Saskew, on how we're going to do that. There will be an amendment to the fees and charges bylaw for point of contact. So any place that we're taking money, with the GST added in, we are going to drop the pennies. So we will amend that bylaw as soon as we do the math, because our system can set that up, but the pennies got to come out. So we'll round it off to the nickel. And so those changes will be made with GST in, and we'll see those as soon as they're ready in the new year. And then we'll move that amendment forward on the fees and charges bylaw. Other than that, again, I just want to thank everybody, and it was one of the toughest budgets I've gone through, and like I said, the next couple of years, we're not going to see a very large capital projects, but within 3 years and with the growth that we're seeing right now, I feel very comfortable that we'll get back to the positions we were in the reserves for equipment. We just have to be very frugal right now. Is there any other comments regarding the budget? Councillor Rudig, Councillor Curtis, any comments?
No, I'm happy with what we've set up here for right now.
Okay. Well then, I think we've passed a budget. Councillor Curtis?
All good on this side.
Okay. Okay, well, it was a lot of work, and I, again, want to thank everybody, and especially the admin and each department, and how they had to go through line by line and make some decisions. And I know it wasn't easy, and I know that probably at the senior staff meetings there probably was some arm wrestling to see who got what and how it would work. But again, I think it was good work, and I'm pretty proud of the fact that we were able to do this by only adding $200,000 over last year's overall collection. So that being said, I adjourn this meeting at 5:23.